Welcome to this episode of Fargonauts Super Summer Star Wars. We're continuing watching Visions, and I'm here with my guys, Eric and Wilson. What's up, guys?
Ooh,
I'm a guy.
ooh, I'm a guy.
Me too. Are you guys ready to watch the final 3 Visions?
Yeah, dude.
Yes, there's 9. That makes it nice and even for us, I suppose.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then after we talk through this one, we'll reconvene, and then we'll have another episode that comes out that we'll discuss our favorite overall of season 2. And
Yes.
so stay tuned for that after we review these last 3. So hope you can give us a like and follow, click all those things, and definitely check out all our Star Wars stuff.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot.
'tis the season.
Very much so. And Ahsoka's coming up just around the bend, so
Yep.
stay tuned for Ahsoka also.
Get your tubs prepared.
So we're going to jump in, and we'll come back to you after we watch all 3 of these. So stay tuned. So welcome to our discussion on the last 3 Star Wars Visions Season 2. What do you guys think of
Yes.
those last 3?
Oh,
Um,
I have the same complaint for all 3 of them, but overall, I thought they were all very fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, they weren't my favorite group of 3.
We watched The Bandits of Golak, which was done by 99 Pictures or something like that, right?
88 pictures.
Oh, 88. Okay.
Take away 11.
Sure. And then we had The Pit, which was done by a combination of Lucas Arts and somebody else, a French company or something.
Yeah, I couldn't tell exactly what that animation studio was supposed to be. Maybe a collaboration between Lucas, some part of Lucas, and this other studio. But what was that one called? That was
The Pit.
yes, The Pit.
And then we had Au's Song to wrap it all up, and that was done by a South African. I forgot what their name was of that company.
Yeah, I forget what the credits said for that one.
But we're just gonna go touch on the first one, which was Bandits of Golak, and that one seemed very. It was done in India almost.
Yeah, very, very in Indian culture inspired with a lot of the colors and voices and
Had one of my favorite quotes. Can you guys pick it out?
oh yeah,
Yeah. Blim blim.
blum blum. and then he was saying blum 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 blum, and then he held one of them up and he said like jebel or something like
Yeah.
that.
Blim blim.
Yeah.
Blim blim.
So that one was about a brother and sister who are on a train, and they're like talking about how the little girl's like, "Oh, I miss our dad," and the brother's just like, "It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. We're just gonna keep quiet and kind of see how things go from here." And she wants to play this flute, but he says, "Oh, we're not gonna play the flute." Meanwhile, the guy is walking around giving the best quote ever, selling like candy.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
basic lollipops.
Yeah, cool looking though.
Yep.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And to help cheer her up and just pass the time, he goes to get one, and as he gets up, she surprise she uses the force and pulls the flute out of his bag and starts playing it in the seat, and people like see her do that and shit. So while he's getting lollipops, he starts hearing his sister almost getting arrested for being reported for her shenanigans.
And then as he's being chased by stormtroopers after he stole the blim blim, a bunch of other stormtroopers show up, and some other bandits or raiders come on these cool looking animals. They're like saber-toothed tiger horses or something.
Yeah, so weird.
They're interesting design.
What was the was it in like
Jangori.
episode 1 or 2 where it was like a horse thing, but it had like a weird, like almost like Gonzo nose, like a floopy little Gonzo nose? I don't remember like what planet that was on, but I seem to remember that from the prequels. It kind of reminded
It was
me of
episode one. Yeah, it was one that Jar Jar stepped in the poop.
Okay, yep. It reminded me slightly of like a Predator, more sleek and for action kind of style of one of those things.
Mm-hmm. And those things were booking it too. Like they're as fast as those speeder bikes that the troopers were on.
As fast as the train.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. So I mean, that was a cool little action set piece. Train, and there's chases, and they eventually make it out of there. And then they stumble upon like a little oasis, like a desert oasis with like people just sitting around campfires and just chilling. And then what I think is probably the coolest design for an Inquisitor just pops in. He looks like a creepy genie, or like a spooky, I don't know what, like a lore of the Hindu gods and goddesses, like the typical like really wispy mustache, and
he's got blue skin and like it's not even wispy. It's just like big and long and kind of like naturally curly, and he's got a little bit of a goatee, I think, too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Does big eyebrows.
Looks like that dude from Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Jambi.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little Jambi, a little bit Jafar.
Yeah.
There was something else that was in my craw about like what he looked like, and I just cannot place it for the life of me. But cool design, cool character.
Yeah, and that was that the 88 Pictures one?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
So I looked up 88 Pictures. They've done a lot of animation work for DreamWorks. They've done work on Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia, Troll Hunters, Rise of the Titans, Wizards, Tales of Arcadia, Three Below, Tales of Arcadia, Fast and Furious, Spy Racers.
Is that like a children's?
Yeah.
I don't even want to know. That's
Spirit Untamed from DreamWorks.
Spirit Untamed.
They worked on Tom and Jerry, the movie from. Oh, they did marketing work for it.
What was it? 20? Was that this year? Like last year or something?
Yeah. Did marketing work for Scoob. Marketing work for Smallfoot. They did work on Samurai Rabbit, the Usagi Chronicles.
Oh, nice.
So, a lot of like DreamWorks work.
Wilson
animation.
did point out that the art style is very reminiscent of the Telltale, like Walking Dead, and all those other ones.
Yeah,
because it's very painty looking.
Yeah,
painterly.
Solid like black outlines on people, a tiny bit cell shade-esque in places with some of the lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it was fun. I'll just say right now, the problem that I had with all three of these was they somehow had to, and it's just this is my personal gripe. They each somehow had to involve the Force or characters being Force sensitive, and I know.
And it was right at the
Star
end.
Wars,
they almost had it with the Pit, which we'll get into. Basically, the end of the story is the girl goes away with one of the Jedis from the little desert oasis. After
the brother
could fight.
He like had like a hologram of the temple or something. He's like, I was told this place would be safe for us to go there, and then after the Inquisitor comes and he gets beat by this really cool, I thought, Jedi who's like an old Indian lady with a cane, and then she splits her cane into two lightsabers and has a pretty cool little fight with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she takes the little girl under her wing, and that was the brother's plan all along, was to find a place of refuge for her to maybe train and to find a place to be safe. But yeah, I was like, it had happened really early on in that first one. But when I saw those two kids on the train, I was like, all right, we're starting in a place where we don't, right now, doesn't have anything to do with lightsabers or the Force. I'm going to cross my fingers and just hope they can tell an interesting story that doesn't need to do that. But then she pulled the flute.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then at the end of the Pit, just for 3 seconds, it had to happen.
And now we'll get into the Pit, which was I'll double check what the studio was.
it was like a really strange spelling.
Yeah,
it almost made me
Dulac.
think
It was
that it
like
was a
Dulac or something.
no, it was a
D'Art. D'Art.
no, it
No,
was like
it was. I'm looking at it right now. It was Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
And
and
D'Art
Dart.
yeah,
Shitaijo.
Yeah, which looked them up as well. It looks like they've done a lot of shorts and like music video stuff. They did the Snow Child video for The Weekend, Sound and Fury by Sturgill Simpson.
They did the book?
Huh?
Sound and Fury?
No, they did the anime thingy for it. For Sound and Fury by Sturgill Simpson. And then they did a few other animes, anime, Indigo Ignited, and Teflon Funk, some other stuff as well. But they are they're an American-owned Japanese
sure
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that animation style is like the closest thing I can think of in my mind right now is like Iron-Blooded Orphans or something like that.
Right.
Just very modern, almost a modern stylization on an older like not Speed Racer that stylized, but like the old original Gundam series or some of the space battleship Yamamoto or whatever it's called, you know.
Yeah.
Those old classic anime where the characters, you know what I'm talking about,
Like
or even like
Outlaw
Lupin.
Star, maybe?
No, not Outlaw Star, but just that vibe. And then some of them anime that are coming out today look like kind of modern takes on that. They're not as cartoonish or stylized, but they have a lot of those same style sensibilities.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, it reminded me just of Attack on Titan ish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is I would classify that as something that's like building off of what has come before rather than something like Chainsaw Man or freaking like Devilman Crybaby, you know.
Oh
yeah.
Go ahead, man.
I wasn't as big of a fan of this second one, just because it wasn't much of a. I get what they were going for, you know, but it was just a little too. I don't know, basic a story. I guess I don't know. Just
it was kind of too basic. Yeah.
Yeah.
People trapped. Help us. Help. Boom. One of them Jedi. Right. So
there's no like real arc or development.
Yeah.
It's just they do have like A and B points, but there's like almost no change in them. And I know that this is not. It doesn't seem like the place for it, but in my mind it could be or kind of should be. When her brother, you know, spoilers. Well, I don't know. I know we haven't really like talked about the plot really, but when he got thrown in, and she was crying, instead of her immediate, and it was kind of weird when she just immediately was like, "We need to find the light, or we need to follow the light. We need to tell them to follow the light." It was almost cultish, where her brain just like broke and went back to the last interaction she had with her brother and just put it on repeat or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I was almost hoping that since they're in like a pit of kyber crystals or something, her grief, her anger would somehow corrupt a kyber crystal and give her the power to like, I don't know, maybe she kills some. I thought it would take a darker turn or there was an opportunity for that to happen, but of course it didn't. It was a very hopeful, turning moment for her. But it might be interesting. This is a place of animation, so it doesn't have to be extremely dark and bad for kids. But it was not my favorite of the three, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, there's really not much else to say because it's such a basic plot. Go watch it for yourself. It's worth the watch, I would say, but yeah, it's definitely the weaker of the ones we watched.
they're all at least
it looks
5
nice
out of 10. You know, like I'd say higher than that, but as a lowest baseline, they're at least a 5 out of 10.
And I think that little Easter egg at the end of the credits, I think that image that dude graffitied on that rock, I think they made that as a promotional image before they even made the story, or like it was like a concept art picture. They're like, hey, how about this?
right.
I can see that. It was a cool piece of art, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Narratively, it didn't make a ton of sense, but like stylistically, it was cool.
Yeah, that graffiti artist was just like, I'm gonna put it here. People are gonna see this. They're gonna jump down this hole and they're gonna look at this rock.
Here, I'm gonna paint this. We're gonna leave this place forever, never come back. I'm gonna paint this. Psst. Done. And then we see it, and it's this big, huge canvas of mural that's just like extensive and.
All right, and then we move on to Ao's song.
Ow.
Yes.
And Ao's song was done by Triggerfish.
Yes.
Do you have any background on Triggerfish?
Ooh,
Name sounds
yes.
familiar.
Triggerfish is computer animation film studio based in Cape Town, South Africa, and Galway, Ireland.
Wow.
Studio is best known for its animated feature films, Adventures in Zambezia, Kumba, and SEAL Team, as well as work they have done on television specials created for UK producers Magic Light Pictures.
Cool.
Is SEAL Team about sea lions or seals? You know, like those type of.
I assume so.
Not SEAL Team 6.
Yes, it's a SEAL team.
It's a team of seals, like Andre.
Team of SEAls, yep. But they're definitely look like military boys
Oh,
too.
see, has there been a parody called like SEAL Team where it's like
that's it?
where it's a bunch of seals like clapping as they're like infiltrating places and killing drug lords?
I mean, it sounds like that's the movie we should explore.
Oh shit, the SEAL Team's here.
I don't know.
They're bouncing balls off the wall, just like, oh my god!
One of the terrorists throws a grenade and they bounce it back at him with their nose and like.
And they do like those cheesy like smiles that they do for guest photos. Like they smile with their weird like mustaches. Like
they have one human handler that goes on missions with them, and he like holds up a ring, and one of them like does a tumble through it and then fires some Uzis as he comes up out of his roll, or like he tosses a fish after they're done with the mission for them to have as a reward, or
good
like
boy.
You know that like little black and or red and white striped little podium that you see them sit on sometimes, and
Yes.
they just roll that out in the middle, and one of the seals gets up there and does his thing.
We need evac. Throw down your target. It's just one of those.
Oh, I like this. I like this little
this
universe
idea.
you made.
But we need to get into Ao's song, and Ao's song was probably the strongest of these three, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
It had a great intro. I'll just reiterate it here. The world of Korba was once rich with force-attuned kyber, the crystal at the heart of the Jedi lightsaber. The kyber's power was praised throughout the stars. Hold on, it's skipping ahead. Oh. Until an ancient order of the Sith poisoned it, leaving it corrupted with the blood-red glow of the dark side. And then it goes into what I think is the main focus of the story is over generations, Korba's people learned to mine the corrupted kyber for the Jedi who, through painstaking effort, could restore the crystal to their natural harmonious state. And so Jedi go to Korba every so often to gather the corrupted kyber for reasons unknown really why it's corrupted, or just in its natural state it's corrupted.
The Sith corrupted it.
But it's super unstable that it like explodes and like screams almost. Like it's kind of eerie.
Well, so it seemed like she was hearing the corrupted kyber crystals as disharmonious voices that maybe only she could hear because she was attuned to it. And that's why she was singing to bring them into harmony, to give them something to harmonize with, and to like,
Yeah, she
And
was like the Eru of this story. She was trying to make this harmonious music, and then the card was just like Melkor or Morgoth, just like. "Ugh."
and well, both times that the crystals like exploded or just like reacted badly, it was when she was singing and then somebody cut her off like in the middle of the reaction that she was having. So it seemed like that's what caused them to poof.
And it's interesting, like the whole time you're thinking maybe she just has like this innate power and not really force sensitive. Like to me, I didn't think at all she was like that was she was using the force. It was just her song, because I've never seen that aspect of the force displayed, and it makes kind of some sense. She's like using acoustics to reverberate the crystals, and I mean that has been proven as like you can do that to like glass. You can shatter glass with sound and things like that. So it was a cool idea. It didn't need to be the force, but it kind of helped the character's progression.
Right.
But we should mention that this art style is very felt craft and very like
felt craft,
naturalistic.
Yeah.
Like with burlap, things like that, and like fuzzy little yarn and nylon and just stitches and things like that. And wood.
This one felt the richest out of the three.
Yeah.
And I don't
Vibrant.
mean that, yeah, and I don't mean that just because of the textures of the materials. It was like when they're on their little scooter and riding into town, you just get such a good feel for the world that they live in for the short amount of time that we spend here. And
they had
it's a nice little relationship that they have, the dad and the daughter.
Yeah, and that's I'm at a pause on that, and the framing of a lot of these things are just really well positioned, and the composition is very like interesting in every aspect.
Yeah, I was noticing that too when they're doing a lot of the shots of the mountains and her looking out at the landscape and all this huge vista that they live in. It's the composition is always like on point.
And yeah, they did a lot of really interesting practical stuff. I don't like we talked about it during, but we don't know if like it was 3D rendered felt stuff or if they like built these things and then like somehow translated them over to a computer. But it seems like they did a combination of a lot of different things, a lot of mixed media.
Yeah, because
like we said, it's like it's very herky jerky. So it's like if you wanted to do that in an editor or like a 3D render thing, you can do that pretty easily because we've seen it done in the Spider-Verse, movies. It's like
even
those characters are running different frame rates.
Yeah, even like Wreck-It Ralph, they played with that a little bit too. Did it with digital like frame rates and differences in animation and stuff.
And I like that aspect where it's like some things are very smooth, but another character is like kind of lower on the frame rate scale to keep it in tune with like that. Like in Wreck-It Ralph, I can see where the Fix-It Felix character jumps and it's very like 2 frames and he's up in the air.
The characters in the arcade machines, they move very stiltedly, but like it just this style of it's like a smear frame in typical animation where it just lends so much more to that like fluidity and feeling of being hand done. But that would what do you think, because that's always what I go to first when it's like a production thing. What was the easiest way to get this done? And what, in your opinion, guys, what do you think would be the easiest way? Would it be pure practical, pure digital, or like a mix between the two?
I'd like a good mix.
It might be, well, that's the thing. I don't know that Triggerfish as much as like what they've created before, but it's very easy to create a felt looking thing in digital now. It's super easy with Pixar like perfecting fur and things like that. You can get those little blemishes on the characters, and in Ao's case, you can see little fringes popping off her hair Like
Right.
like maybe it's got, like the felt got scuffed and it's just like a little fabric of like something else is stuck to her. You can see that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you can fake that pretty easily nowadays. I mean, it's awesome because if you remember like the Lego movie, they built that movie based on actual like Lego sets, and they stuck to the like the physics of all those things too in the movie. So if a piece doesn't move like how it should in real life, they didn't like create something new. So they move the characters all like Lego people move and things like that. So you could like practically make these things in real life. Like I think that's what they're try to go for. Like everything in this looks handmade, and you could actually create it for yourself. So like
Well,
I'd make an owl plushie, and I'm sure people have.
yeah, for a thing that's a total length of between 10 to 15 minutes, I'm sure that it could be done, by a team that's knowledgeable on how to do it, etc. I'm sure that it could be done, with not a lot of fuss, did just purely digital. But I think in my unknowing opinion, I guess I agree with Eric, where I feel like a mixture of practical and digital would be the easiest way to do it, where you do build maybe like 2 or 3 base models per character so that you have a basis to like photograph and light and position and do some of that stuff with.
And that's one thing I'd like to know is if they did render, because they had to have rendered those mountains, like the Khyber Mountains, in some kind of world generator, but like what programs they're using to make all those things, all those different assets, because
Yeah.
it's totally a combination of everything. Like it looks real life, just placed in this little green screen world, and then they like painted this beautiful landscape around it. But like how they went about that,
The scene where she's like in the mountain and she's singing and she's like kind of highlighted in blue, but there's a bunch of red in it's crazy abstract visuals and all the colors are mixed and everything. Thinking about like clearly there's digital work going on there, but like if she is a physical thing that's being photographed, like lighting that and doing that kind of like color matching and stuff like that to work with the digital effect on top. If that's going on, it's amazing. Or like the lightsaber, clearly that's a digital thing that to me never, and it was a very quick use of it, but it never looked like a practical effect that they were trying to pull off. It just looked like a digital lightsaber that she was using.
Sure, I'm trying to find that little image of her using it. Like the perspective switch is like, I'm just seeing like as she's holding on to the rope that's like protecting her dad, Abby or whoever.
Yeah,
Her
and
eyes
she
start
kind of just like
tearing up.
uses it to slide down the mountain, I think, and that's like it.
Yeah, but Au's eyes start tearing up, and there's little. They look like opaque sort of jelly beans in her eye.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be some epoxy or something, like just a clear,
Yeah. Because then like a little drop falls off, and then she falls off with Abby, and then the perspective changes to like a wide angle. Oh, and I just paused it on a very interesting frame of the Jedi, like throwing her cloak back, and you can see all the individual fibers of the cloak.
Wow.
And then she just uses it as like a cliff scaling.
Did they ever do like a Star Wars Visions season 1 behind the scenes, or like, hey, here's some words from the studios about what they did?
I don't think they did.
That would be really interesting to see for especially season 2.
Oh, I'd love to hear more about like their, like how they were given like the go ahead to make these, or if like they put in like a resume to Disney. He's like, I'd like to make one, or if Disney sought them out, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I bet that a lot of it was Disney seeking studios out because they knew what people fit within their parameters, you know?
Yeah, and I think they did search, in the Asian countries and then the Africa. They had to find one from every continent almost, except for Antarctica.
Yeah, different culture interpretations.
Hopefully it was something like, hey, do you have any recommendations of a really good or interesting studio from this place or that you've heard of that has a really interesting style that can say something?
But yeah, after Ao stabilizes the Kyber, the Jedi that flew in on an awesome DBZ spaceship
Oh yeah, dude.
wants to take Ao back with her to understand more of her powers and things like that. And that's pretty much where it ends. And I gotta say, the music in this one was super interesting. It's very quirky sounding, and that's what I'll say. It's like it's very quirky in the sense like it's video gamey. It's like a Anamanaguchi style, synth heavy. It reminded me of Gumby music, like almost organ, but synth organ. If that makes sense.
Yeah, really good music.
Yeah, chip tuney kind of too, but really interesting. Really interesting one, and that rounds out the last 3 of Vision Season 2. And we're gonna get into our favorite overall of Season 2 in the next video. So we'll discuss that next time.
Wait, we'll discuss what next time?
Our favorite out of the whole season.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be back with that. And give it a think a little bit. We'll do some recaps of that, and be sure to check that out when it hits. And we'll talk to you then.
Keep it in the stars.
Yes.